Of all the deaths lately, over the last year or two, Scott's really affected me a lot.
I think that the first time, obviously I grew up watching Scott Hall and I was a big fan, but one of the first times I got to hang out with Scott and really get to know him on a personal level was when he came to Virginia and we had a lot of time together because we did a kind of a Q&A with him, and I just got to know him on a real personal level from the idol of Scott Hall that I had known for so long. And so, yeah, that would be my most special, I think, personal memory, because Nick and I really had some bonding time with him.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet Scott way back when I first started in the wrestling business, the summer of '89, I believe it was. And I had a great memory of the fact that there was a point where it just ended up being kind of me and him in the locker room. And he was just nice enough to give me some really good advice for a kid who was just getting his feet wet in this business. And that's one of the memories one of my best memories about Scott. And then, of course, we were in WCW together those years, all during the NWO and the Monday Night Ratings War, and I got to know Scott, especially with as close as I was to Paige, and obviously him and Paige were close too. So yeah, a lot of great memories with Scott over the years.
He was just breaking in. They did, I think it was called the Twin Towers, and a lot of potential, and he raised to that potential, and he'll be sorely missed.
So I got to know Scott all the past few years, and like WrestleMania week, WrestleMania 33, I actually sat and ate dinner with Scott Hall 2 days before WrestleMania. Had a great talk with him. He was just a great guy, always willing to take time out to talk to the younger guys and hand his knowledge to us. So I got to have a few of those conversations with Scott Hall, and he did that with a lot of young guys, a lot of guys coming up, a lot of guys that are at NXT, for instance. And that's what my memories of Scott Hall will be, just having those conversations with him, learning from him, and remembering that he took the time out to do that for me and so many other guys.
He was at TNA when I was there, and that was the first time getting to meet Scott. Obviously an influence to a big guy in the business. I think he's somebody who's helped change the business in many ways. I think a lot of people think he should have achieved so much more, but I think the influence that he gave to all of us, from the NWO and the Outsiders and his teaming with Kevin Nash and just everything he's done in the business, the ladder match with Shawn Michaels, I think those are memories that everybody and anybody can cherish for the rest of their lives. So I think he's going to be greatly missed from both the past, present, and the future. I became good friends with his son, Cody, and Cody and I, we talked a lot, and I talked to him since this has happened. And, he's a strong kid, and I think this will help him move forward and understand the true legacy of his father.
Obviously, growing up being a huge fan, but then getting into the business and being around Scott, I think it was 2015, we started creating a pretty good rapport around WrestleMania. Scott would go out of his way, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to look at the camera or you, but Scott would go out of his way to talk with a lot of younger talent, whether it was at a performance center or backstage at live events or WrestleMania or pay-per-views. And he had a way of coaching, which I thought he would be a really good asset to the WWE in terms of mentoring young talent. And I think he did that while he was, coming up with the Click, obviously with PJ and guys like that. He had a lot more to give to the business, and I think there was a lot left on the table, which is sad. Someone with that much knowledge and love for the business. And of all the deaths lately, over the last year or two, Scott's really affected me a lot. So he was a good friend, and he'll be greatly missed.
Well, you know what? My first and fondest memory is just watching Razor Ramon on Monday Night Raw. Because, as a kid, everyone was a big, Warrior, Hogan, Macho fan, and I was too. But as I got older, like double digits as a kid, and I was like, actually had real favorites, not just whoever I like. Razor Ramon was hands down my first and favorite wrestler. I used to go around, Razor Edging, all my neighborhood friends, my younger brothers. It's phenomenal. And then to go on, and I never got to work with Scott, but to have met him plenty of times, to be around him, work with his son. It was great, man. And it's sad that he's passed, but on I don't want to say a positive note, but I guess it's a positive note. It's great to see how many people he's inspired and touched and has affected in this business and industry. I know a lot of people are worried that they're going to go and be forgotten, and absolutely Scott Hall is not that case.
Oh man, Scott Hall, here's the thing. So Scott Hall, I think, influenced my whole generation. Anybody in my age group, you can tell, as well as obviously his peers that he came up with business with, it really hit different with Scott. And one thing I'll say about this, man, he was a trailblazer. He brought coolness to professional wrestling, because if you look at that transition from 1993 to 1995, Scott Hall definitely brought style, brought swag to professional wrestling, and that was not to mention him and Big Kev bringing obviously guaranteed contracts to professional wrestling. But so Scott's impact was felt on screen, off screen, and I think he changed the culture of professional wrestling. He was kind of like the version now NBA had an Allen Iverson, WWE had Scott Hall.
Scott Hall was somebody who was always my favorite growing up wrestling, and I was fortunate enough to get the chance to meet him a few times. And one of the times I got to meet him was when I was backstage for WrestleMania when it was in Orlando. And he knew who I was because I had met him outside of there before that. And I was going over to say hi, and there was a fan who could see Scott Hall from below, and he was yelling, "Scott Hall, Scott Hall, oh my gosh, how are you doing?" And with no break in character whatsoever, he just leans over and goes, "A lot better than you," and then goes right back to what he was doing. And he was actually the bad guy, and that memory will never leave me. So
I was there the night 1, 2, 3 Kid beat Razor Ramon. I was working at the Manhattan Center that night, and then I got to see Scott Hall's greatest moments in WCW when we were together. We were in Puerto Rico together, watching him growing up and being part of the business and learning from him and so many other greats was a great memory for me. Always something good. And everybody has their downtime, but it was something because Scott turned his life around, became a WWE Hall of Famer, he got to reunite with all his buddies, and he got to spend the rest of his days as a family man, which is always important. So for everybody out there who's dealing with stuff, use Scott Hall as an inspiration, because you can turn your life around, you can do great things, and you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it.
I've done a thousand of his matches, and I'm gonna really miss that guy.
Yeah, awesome guy, man. I traveled with him a lot when I was doing jobs up there. I rode around with him. He was so cool to me and everything when I was just jobbing. He was the best guy in the world, him and Kevin. They treated me like gold, man.
They both treated me great.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought me to the business and basically made me who I am. Because I was a nobody till I got with him. I'm still nobody, but but I'm with my buddy. That's all that counts.
That's it, bro.
That's all that matters.
This is what it's about right here.
He was a great guy. I mean, just one of the guys that I met on the road. I mean, I didn't really know him that hung out and stuff like that. But, for around the wrestling business, I mean, he always respected me and I respected him. And Kevin Nash, oh my God. I just want to hug the brother. Yeah. Kevin, you did an excellent job with him. And man, thank you for the time that you spent with him.
Well, when I was the roadie, when I was with Jeff Jarrett, it was the first big angle we had. So we worked with Scott all around the loop. I learned so much from Scott, and Scott taught me about selling like a man. He always said that, and he always said, if we were on the West Coast, it was like, it's 2 a.m. where I'm from. I got so many Scott Hallisms that I use to this day. I respect Scott Hall a ton. He will be greatly missed, and I thank him for everything he taught me having to do with the sports entertainment industry. Bad guys do live forever.